Hello, everyone. My name is Eva Marie Everson, and I am here to talk with you more with my Southern Mamas Be Like friend, Jane Jenkins Herlong. Where is
Hi.
she? There she is. There
Hey,
she is.
sugar.
And we're gonna talk today about, for those of you who don't remember, you should go back and look. Jane spoke with a good friend of hers, David, who knows all about things like health and vitamins and just really how to stay healthy without being overwhelmed with medical doctors and the like. I laughingly said last year I saw more medical doctors than I had in my entire life. I think in 1 year, I outdid the 67 before that. So
That I love. That's what my mama said, that getting older is basically going to funerals and one doctor's appointment after another. That was her
I'm
statement.
telling you, and I'm done. I'm like, okay, we're not doing that again this year.
Oh,
We're back. We're back, baby. So whatever I have to do. And Jane, one of the things is that because you and I are in an industry where we meet a lot of people,
yeah.
shake a lot of hands.
Right.
And I do think that sanitizer is a really good thing. Washing your hands, really good thing. But you mentioned last week in our last episode that I direct the Sailor Awards, the Foundation Awards, and those will be presented the end of May at the Blue Ridge Mountains Christian Writers Conference. And so, probably close to 100 people come up on that stage. And a lot of times they want to give me a hug. And I have this new rule after last year. I will shake your hand. I always wear opera gloves. So my hands are gloved and I'm all dressed up, kind of like tonight, bling bling, and and so but that's something that I'm doing to protect and prevent. Well, that's what vitamins do as well. They
Yes,
protect and prevent. So let's
I
talk
love that.
about what he calls the Super Seven.
Well, and I was a little bit selfish on this one because I'm a coffee drinker. Look at what Thomas gave me for my birthday.
I'm not
I'm not
spoiled. My husband
spoiled.
just loves me. I love it.
And the
I
back of
love
it's
it.
really cute and some of it's
Ah,
done a little
yes. I love
fun.
that. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I asked David about coffee, and he said as long as you don't make yourself into a jittery mess, that coffee actually has some good qualities.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
but of course, tea and coffee intermittently combined is excellent as well.
Mhm.
So David said that your morning brew, by the way, back to coffee, may lower your risk of diabetes and Parkinson's.
Well, sir, we're
Ain't that
good.
something?
We're good.
So the first vitamin he talked about was a quality multivitamin for women. And tell us about your thoughts about that. I know there comes a time in life where we know our immune system is going
Yeah.
down.
Hmm.
So we
Hmm.
got to get the vitamins to bring it back up. And that's pretty much
Abs-
the ticket.
yeah, and I think finding that multivitamin so that you're not overwhelmed by vitamins.
Yeah.
Like, oh, how many bottles do I have to buy? Um, and and that's, I mean, basically all I take. My mother passed away when she was 74 years old. She had a brain aneurysm that ruptured, and so all the vitamins in the world were not going to change that.
Right.
But her health was great, so much so that we were together at the Blue Ridge Conference, actually. And when the EMTs came in, they said, what medications is she on? I handed them her little travel case of meds, and
Right.
they opened it up, and he said, well, these are just vitamins. And I said, well, she's not sick.
Right.
That's all she does is vitamins.
Right.
So this is it's maybe a little bit sad and morose, and I don't mean for it to be, but my brother and I had to make that really awful decision about whether or not to, end life support because she was only being kept alive through life support at this point. And one of the things the doctor said to us was, most people, it takes about 10 minutes. It's probably
Mhm.
going to take longer for your mother because she was so healthy. It took
Wow.
2 days. It took two
Oh
days.
my gracious.
So, because
Whew.
her heart was healthy, her lungs were healthy, And those were the two things that, we needed to shut down in order for her to go be with Jesus. But she was very meticulous about her vitamins and
Yeah.
taking her vitamins. And I think that, for some of us, we need certain vitamins more than others.
Yeah.
I need B6, B12. I
Yes.
typically take that sublingually, B6, B12, folic acid. That keeps me feeling really good. I
Yeah.
personally know my body needs that.
Yeah.
And then there are some others as well. I started taking something called Align, which is
Yeah.
a gastrointestinal.
Right. Oh yeah.
We're going to talk about later about probiotics and
Yeah.
postbiotics and prebiotics and all that.
Postbiotic, David.
Yeah, all those biotics. Yes. But what a wonder that has been. I hate to talk about it, but what a wonder that
Well,
has been.
there's so much research on gut health now,
Yes. Yes.
But David said that when you are in your reproductive years, you do need iron. But he
Yeah.
said that
Well,
women beyond in menopause and beyond
yeah.
need to
Yeah,
still
that ship has sailed, sweetheart.
do what? Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's
it ain't coming back. I know. Did I? And
no.
speaking of that, they made me pregnant last week on set. It was hilarious. I was looking down and going, "Oh, I'm glad the ship sailed." Did you know that I was pregnant on the set? Oh my gosh! I'll have to throw that.
No, I did not know that. I'm
Oh my
sorry.
gosh! In fact, we were
But I
laughing
love
so
the way you
hard.
said it. Yeah.
Don,
I love the way
the
you said
guy,
it. They made me pregnant on the set.
yeah, they
That's
made me
right.
pregnant. You should have seen me. Don and I had one scene. He had to open the car door, and I got out, and we were trying to get it. Finally, he takes, and he said, "Get out, Sarah." And I said, "Shut up, Abraham." I mean, if that did it, oh, God, knocked my microphone. That's how
That's funny.
traumatic it
It's
was to
funny.
be
Yeah.
pregnant. But anyway, women who are in that time of life, yes, iron is super important. He also mentioned, uh, he says the bone building trio, calcium, vitamin D3, and super K2, or just K2. And he said that, I've got a quote, I want to get this right because it took me a long time to figure out what he was saying. Calcium is just not enough on its own. D3 is a delivery truck. K2 is the supervisor. Calcium can end up in the arteries instead of bones, increasing heart disease risk. He said
Mm-hmm.
those three, and I never even thought of that:
Yeah.
calcium, D3, and K2.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we so often would teach back in my day was there's certain drugs, there are certain vitamins, I should say, certain vitamins that need the help of other vitamins. And again, this is something that I want to reiterate. Back in the day of our grandmothers, and maybe even our mothers, we got our vitamins from our foods. And
Yes,
because most of our foods were bought fresh. I mean,
right.
my mother bought fresh vegetables,
Yeah,
or we went out in summer mornings. I remember it well. We would go out to the local farms and pick peas and beans and corn. And we had corn shucking parties and things like that. So everything was fresh. Everything was fresh. But now we have watered everything down, or we have insecticided it to death, and
yes, yes.
we're not getting the same quality of food groups that we used to have
Right.
previously. So we got to get it from somewhere.
Yes, and you are so right. He said, in addition, he calls this the Super Seven, magnesium. He said that's really
Yes.
good for heart
I
health,
was I was hoping you were going to mention magnesium.
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
muscle function and relaxation. And he said that was the
Mhm.
magnesium is important. And also, I know that my doctor recommended taking berberine, and it's good for sugar control, or the
Mhm.
the absorption that we have. We have so much sugar in our diet. It used to be we had
Yes.
25 pounds a year. Now we have 150.
That's
And
what I'm talking about.
so
That
many
like
people
I
are
don't
insulin
I
resistant and don't
use
even know it.
Yeah, I use raw sugar in my coffee and only one little packet.
Yeah,
Stevia in my tea. I don't like the taste of stevia in coffee,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
do put stevia. Like I have a cup of coffee in the morning and a cup of tea in the afternoon, that kind of thing.
yeah.
So,
That's good. Do
yeah,
you ever
but
put local honey?
I don't drink soft drinks.
Oh
Um,
gosh, that's a whole
yeah,
nother boy. He said that brown liquid is a killer.
yes,
It's
yes,
sad. But
yes,
that's funny. Do you ever use local honey? That's supposed to be so good.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, my I call her my favorite sidekick, Taryn, who is I'm the CEO of Word Weavers International. She's the president of operations. So she's my co-director of Florida Christian Writers Conference, and she and her husband raise bees, and so they make their own honey, and that's where I get my honey from. Yeah,
Well,
it's good
the
stuff.
the next one on the Super 7 is super, super important. It's the omega 3s.
Yes.
The EPA and
Mhm.
the DHA. Your brain and heart love these healthy facts. Most people don't get enough from diet alone. So supplementing is the key. Look for the label. It's not just about fish oil. It's about the EPA and the DHA content. And very important, omega 3s. So that was interesting. And the last Super 7, he said, of course, is vitamin C, vital for immune support, skin, and tissue repair. I'm doing it for here. Your body can't absorb a big dose at once. Take smaller amounts through the day for best results. Any comments on that one?
Yeah, be careful with vitamin C. He's exactly right. You can OD on C, and you
You
will
can
know
OD
it
on
if you
C.
do. You will know it. And you know what? Don't try to overwhelm your body all at once with this, because just in case you have one of those vitamins that your body is super sensitive to. My body is super sensitive to iron, so I cannot take an iron supplement. I
Yeah,
have to get iron from my food groups and only my food groups.
yeah,
We learned that the hard way. And back when I was in my childbearing years, I was working full time as a nurse. I was engaged to be married. I was trying to get my wedding in order and all of this. And my mother decided that I needed to be taking iron, so she went and got me some iron, and my body reacted to it quite unhappily.
oh,
And
wow,
and so here I am about to be a bride. So
yeah,
I am not a happy camper because my
no,
body was like, no. And so we couldn't figure out like what was wrong
right,
until we started saying, oh, wait a minute. This started right when I started taking the iron. So stop the iron. And then my body went right back to, okay, you're okay now.
yeah,
So
how
yeah,
about that?
so you got to know your own body. And also, and I think it's so important, one of the things that you were saying earlier about brain function,
Yeah,
because that certainly slows down as we get older,
oh, yeah,
is that we used to call this sludging of the blood,
yeah,
and that is if you eat anything that's high fat, high sugar, your blood cells begin to clump together, and then your blood sludges, and blood carries oxygen to the brain. Okay,
right,
so if your blood is not flowing properly, you're not getting oxygen to your brain, and all of a sudden your thoughts are cloudy. You're very sleepy. This is why a lot of times, if you and as a speaker, if you're speaking right
yeah,
after lunch, and
yeah,
especially if the room is warm, and there's been a high fat dessert, and
yeah.
even a high fat foods and that kind of thing, or sugary desserts, you will notice people starting to do this,
Oh,
and
complete.
it's only because that oxygen is not getting up to the brain,
Yeah, sugar.
because the blood has sludged. It's
Yes.
just like,
And I'm going to put a little link about how to get in touch with David if anyone is interested in chatting with him or
yes,
seeing his videos and stuff. He's very good at this. So
yes.
we talked about the statins, the high cholesterol last week. Now we're hitting the Super 7, which is so important. And we're going to, the next one, stay tuned because it's about Eva Marie. We're going to tackle this one now, the gut health. But you've been taking the line, so
All
you might
right.
have. All right. As for next time, we're going to go a little further south.
Uh-huh.